Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing a Q&A. And I love doing these because I love giving my open, honest opinion to you guys about the questions that you want answered. So we're pretty much just going to get straight into it. Did you have a coach for your first competition prep? Is it possible to be successful without one? So my first competition, I technically didn't have a coach. Max pretty much coached me for my first two shows. He was the reason that I got into bodybuilding as a whole anyway. So he kind of was the one that knew about competition prepping and kind of dieting and stuff. With your first competition prep, you're always going to find errors and mistakes that you can obviously avoid the more you get into doing shows and stuff, but that's the same with everything. I would say yes, it can be successful without a coach. I personally would not want to do a show without a coach, purely because I like having that accountability, having that person saying, okay, this is what's going on now, instead of you taking the reins. I know a lot of people that coach themselves, which I take my hat off to them. I don't know how they coach themselves, because sometimes when I'm deep in prep, I am a bit harsh on myself and I can't see either how lean I am or I can't see how quote unquote good I look. It's always good having a coach as a second eye. How long have you been training for? I've been training for 4 years. I have always been into sports. I did cheerleading for about 8 years, which is quite high intense training as a whole and lifting people up in the air, so it's kind of like weightlifting. Since bodybuilding, I struggled to find people who don't train attractive. Is this bad? No, this isn't bad, because this is just your type. That's just your type of person that you're attracted to, and that's okay. Maybe try and give them a chance in terms of, like, if they don't train, give them a chance and kind of see what their personality is like without the training, if that makes sense, because I know training is life sometimes, but try and take training out of the equation and see if you like their personality and what kind of they are about, instead of just being training the only purpose as the reason you're attracted to them, if that makes sense. How do you do your tan for your shows? Also, please can you explain the tattoo cover up? So I'm gonna go and get those products right now. So I think majority of those questions is how do you do your tan yourself, because I kind of pretty much this year said, oh yeah, I do my tan myself, by the way, guys, and everyone's like, you do your tan yourself? Like, what? At bodybuilding shows, you do usually get a spray tan, and sometimes it is a little bit expensive, and to kind of be a little bit more cost effective, I do my tan myself. And I will show you what the products I actually use, because loads of people have been asking. This is Pro-Tan. I have used Pro-Tan for all my shows. I've never used anything else because it really sits well on my skin color. Because I am mixed race and I have a little bit more color to my skin, this sits on top of my skin really nicely. Sometimes if people are a little bit pale, it doesn't sit on top of their skin as much and it makes them look more orange than it does tanned. So just bear that in mind when you're picking out tans and stuff. I feel this sits better on people that have a bit more color to their skin anyway, if that makes sense. This is the overnight color base coat, and this is your base coat of what you'll be using. So what I used to do is 2 days before my competition, so 2 days out, I would do a base coat of this in the evening, let it sit in my skin overnight, then wash it off in the morning, put another coat on, leave that sit in my skin, don't wash that coat off, and then in the morning on one more coat, and that used to be really good for me. Recently what I've been doing is I've been doing a really heavily coated tan the night before the show, leaving that on, and then putting this on, which is another Pro-Tan product. This is the Bikini Bronze Top Coat. So this makes you pretty much more brown. I've noticed that my upper body isn't, for some reason this season, isn't taking as much as it usually does. My upper body usually doesn't take to tan as well as my lower body. I don't know why. So I've tried this, and it's really darkened up my tan as a whole, and it looks so much better. That's how I do my tan, pretty much. I put this in a Tupperware box. I use a glove underneath before using a mitt. And when you buy Pro-Tan products, they all come with mitts anyway. So that's pretty much how I do my tan. And what someone's talking about is the tattoo cover up. This is also another Pro-Tan product I've recently just started using. Now, loads of people always say, do tattoos kind of affect your scorings? No, but because my tattoos are quite on show, they're quite prominent, and they are like literally one here, and one here. on my body. I wanted to see what my body looked like kind of with them and looking a little less harsh. It didn't completely cover them up, it just made them look a little bit faded, which I think looks a little bit better. I just wanted to try that out, and you put this after you've done all of your tan. Usually I've put this on 15 minutes before I go on stage. So, and that's pretty much it. You can buy the liter bottles on the ProTan website. You can buy all these products on the ProTan website. I'll leave the website in the description box below. This isn't sponsored, but I've just had so many messages after saying that I do my own tan, and everyone's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I'll tell you. Do you have any dietary restrictions? Are you paleo or are you gluten-free? No, I'm not gluten-free. I haven't had any issues with any food or anything like that. I'm not allergic to anything. I am going to Denver in a few weeks' time, and me and Adam are gonna do a allergy kind of test to see if I'm actually physically allergic to anything, because I've never actually done one before, and sometimes you can be a little bit intolerant to some foods that you actually don't know you're intolerant to. So I know so many people that are intolerant to foods that they've been eating for years and they haven't known it, but they've just been getting maybe a little bit of a bloated stomach or a bit of a digestive issues, but nothing major. So it's not like I physically know that I'm allergic to anything, but I'm interested to kind of find out. Where did you learn your posing? So that's interesting. Obviously, I am a posing coach and I do take on a lot of posing clients. I actually learnt my posing myself. So I've had obviously a few sessions with other people, but I've never gone to them to learn posing. I've learned all my posing myself through watching videos on YouTube, through watching my idols in person at shows and seeing the different ways people move on stage. I think that's a really big thing when it comes to posing, is going to watch shows and seeing how, one, a show is run, and two, how people actually are on stage. I think it's really interesting to see what people look like on stage versus going for a session. So yeah, I spent a lot of my time going to shows, learning posing through there, watching their transitions, filming them, and seeing like, how can I better my posing through them? Did you like Toronto? I absolutely loved Toronto. It was honestly, so much fun. Like, I want to go back, and hint, hint, I am going back to Canada very soon, in like 4 weeks' time. How do you handle the Sunday after show doing back-to-back shows? So, that's actually really interesting. So, obviously, I've just done a 3 run of shows, all back-to-back, and most of them, one of them have been on the Sunday, and 2 of them have been on a Saturday. So, what I've done is I've had a meal on the Saturday evening or the Sunday evening or the evening of my show, and then the next day I've gone straight back on it. I go back to cardio, I'll go to the gym, and I won't do cardio like really ridiculously hard. I do feel very fatigued after I competed. So like, I feel like my lower back's quite tight and my body is quite sore. So I don't go and do like a crazy workout, but I do go on the treadmill and I like put it on a high incline walk and probably walk for a good 40-45 minutes, maybe an hour, just to get some movement going. And then I do train upper body light. So most of the time I do, from my last 3 run of shows, I've gone straight back into cardio and training, but light cardio and light training, and back to diet completely. And usually, because I haven't gone crazy the night before, my diet is actually quite good and a decent amount of food the next day. So which is quite good. So always make sure, after show anyway, I can't eat a lot. So like, my stomach is really small, like I can't eat a lot at all. So I usually don't have something really heavy. So what I had the last 3 back-to-back shows, I would have steak, fries, and veggies. And that's what I had for my last 2 shows. And then my last show in Miami, obviously, I had a bit more because I was allowed. Do you have any recommendations for first-timer shows? And pretty much what she's trying to say is, as a first-timer, should I do first-timer shows? I think first-timer shows are really good, honestly. I think they're good because it puts everyone in the same position in terms of, we are all never stepped on stage, so it's judged fairly, instead of sometimes people being their first show and then next to a girl that's been competing for maybe 5 years. So on that scale, it is a little bit unfair, but at the same time, it's good to push yourself and kind of make sure that you're challenging yourself. If you have the option to go and do a first timer show, then go and do it, because then it puts you in the position of, okay, what do I actually need to improve on? And then you can go on into different shows with more advanced competitors in as well. How long have you and Max been together? So we've been together together 3.5 years. So, and he asked me out on Boxing Day. How do you know which category to compete in, considering as I'm a first timer? So, I think you need to go on different federations' websites and have a look at each criteria individually, because there's, for women anyway, there's bikini, there's figure, there's physique, but then in the UK we do have other federations that do more in-depth criterias and categories. Like there's toned bikini, there's trained bikini, there's figure, there's toned figure, there's aesthetic figure or something like that, and there's different criterias to hit. So I would go and look on the website, go to shows and see what criteria you think you fit best. Is there such thing as a perfect prep, i.e. no cheats, quote unquote cheats? There is no such thing as a perfect prep because each prep is individual to that person. So one perfect prep may not suit another person. So everyone has their own individual way of prepping, especially as a coach. Like your coaches will have different methods and ways they think work best for their clients. So no, there is no perfect way of prepping. There are different opinions on prepping and there's different methods, but there's no set way. There's no way that's gonna work for everyone. So I don't like the word perfect anyway. Everyone's views of perfect is different. Do you cut off artificial sweeteners? Yes, I do to a certain extent. I do love my artificial sweeteners in terms of like my flavoring my water sometimes and flavoring my coffee sometimes and having a little bit of low calorie sauce, but I don't go over the top with it. I always use it within moderation because I do know that they sometimes make you a little bit bloated just because there are artificial chemicals in them. So I do cut them out near a show day, maybe like 1.5 weeks out or peak week area, but I don't cut them out completely just because they don't affect my body that much. Some people they do, some people's they really do affect to artificial sweeteners quite a lot, so they don't use artificial sweeteners at all. But I think it's just individual to each person. Were you nervous for your first competitions and any advice on someone starting out? Yes, I was hella nervous. I was so nervous for my first show because I remember standing backstage and being like, Phoebe, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're in a bikini and you're about to be judged on your body. Like, what are you doing? But as soon as I hit that stage, I felt so confident and like such an overwhelming feeling of being proud of myself for working that hard and being dedicated for those many weeks of grinding through cardio and training for this one goal. And it was really such an amazing feeling. So for first timers, I would say just appreciate and be proud of what you've brought to stage. So don't like think about placings or think about like the end result. Just think about how far you've come and that you are there on stage. You've achieved your main goal, which was getting on stage. What's the difference between competing in the UK, Europe and America? So that's interesting actually, because I've never really thought about it. I think the difference between kind of the UK, European to American style bikini is UK and European style bikini, they do like a leaner look and like quite a hard muscular look, whereas the Americans, they kind of like a little less, like not less, but they want softer, a bit more feminine look, still with muscle and condition, but not as hard and conditioned as a European look, I think anyway. From experiences anyway, from competing now in Europe and America and kind of having a look at both of them, my shows that I competed in recently, the American shows, I was a lot softer and yeah, I was still lean, but I wasn't as hard as last year where I competed in Europe. So I think I prefer the American look to the European look, and I think I fit the criteria for the American look better than the European look because I, as a natural athlete, can't get dry and really lean, which is what the kind of European look wants, and versus the American. Was the standard of the competition in America higher or lower than what you thought? A lot higher than I thought. These girls in America like are a different breed. They are insane. From being in the UK versus to going America is just so much more developed than the UK and Europe as a whole. So for them, they can live and breathe bodybuilding. We can still live and breathe bodybuilding, but there's just little things that we don't have, which is over in America. And like the motivation I had, and kind of the mindset I had every day when I was in America, I was just living bodybuilding. Whereas over here, it's not living bodybuilding. Like in America, they just have so many other options that can help benefit a prep so much more, if that makes sense. I know it's little things like that, but it's little things like that that really push me throughout prep. It's so much more advanced in America versus being in the UK or Europe. So yeah, I think it is a whole different breed in America, but it's obviously America's going to be bigger and larger because it's more developed country. Do you take any supplements or have you believed in them? So one, I'm a natural athlete. I'm a lifetime natural bikini athlete, so I've never taken any enhancement drugs. I also don't actually take supplements really at all. I don't really take BCAAs. I don't take L-carnitine. I don't take CLAs, like any of that type of thing. I take obviously my vitamins every day. I take my omega-3s, all of that type of thing, my kidney tablets to help make sure that my kidneys are good. I don't take anything else because I don't think it's necessary for me. Obviously it is necessary for some people, but sometimes I feel like I'm doing good without them, so I don't need to add them in because I don't think they'll do much to my body, if that makes sense. Do you decrease cardio post-competition? So yes, we do. We do a reverse out of it. So if it depends obviously with where you're at. So with me, my cardio is now decreased to 22 minutes of HIIT cardio, whereas before I had 45 minutes of steady state and 15 minutes of HIIT cardio, kind of by the end of one of my preps before I started on the 3 run of shows. But now my cardio is completely half, so like a lot less cardio, and because my body fat is a lot less, that's why my cardio has been decreased. It's because it's not necessary. I don't need to be doing that much amount of cardio, so we've decreased it and my body's responding to it well. So what we have done is reversed me out of my competitions really well, which is I'm really happy with. What do you do for date nights instead of going out for food and drink? If I'm honest, if we were to do a date night, I go to the cinema, or we make food here, or we have kind of a movie night in. Like, there are things that can be done. I think a lot of people think I have to not do anything when I'm on prep. No, nothing social, nothing to do with any relationships because I'm on prep, which isn't the case. Like, you still can do a lot of things on prep. You just can't eat things. That's pretty much, or eat or drink things. That's pretty much the only difference. So you can still go out and you can still do things. You just won't be able to have an input on the eating side of drinking side of it. So, but pretty much I go to the cinema, we go swimming quite a lot, we go to the spa, or we have movie nights in. Where did you think you would be now if you didn't take the risk and do bodybuilding? That's actually really interesting. I have no clue where I'd be right now if I didn't do bodybuilding. And sometimes it does scare me to think about what happens if I didn't have bodybuilding? What happens if I didn't put myself out there on social media and kind of do what I love? I have no clue, but I think I would still be at uni. The reason I went to uni was because I wanted to create my own business, and I kind of realized halfway through my first year of uni that I don't need to be at uni to do this, because this is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to create my own online coaching. I wanted to, well, at the time it was PTing, but now I find that I connect so much better with online clients versus PT clients. And like, I've realized that you don't have to go to uni and get that qualification to do what you need to do. Obviously with certain jobs you do need to go to uni and you do need to get qualifications, but for what I wanted to do at the time, I didn't need to do that. And I quit, I took the leap and did bodybuilding, and I have no clue where I would be now. I'm very, very grateful for where I am now. Have you found yourself more satisfied being coached by Adam? So, satisfied in sense of I'm gaining more knowledge. Yes, I love the fact that I am gaining more knowledge from Adam's coaching because it's a different approach and I'm learning more about the sport as a whole, so that can make me become a better athlete and a better coach for myself. So yeah, in that way I am very satisfied to be one of Adam's athletes, and I'm very grateful to be in like an Elite 11, which is like such an amazing opportunity to be in. What do you do in between prejudging and finals? I pretty much go back up to my hotel room and sleep or do work or kind of just assess what I need to be better at. So I'll go back and have a look at all of my videos and photos and stuff from prejudging and try and bring an improved package for finals. That's what I always do. I always see what I could have done better, how I moved, how did I look up against the lineup against the other girls, all of that type of thing, just to make sure that I can improve for finals. Do you use fat burners on prep? No, I don't use fat burners on prep. I have only ever used fat burners on prep. They were like the grenade fat burners, but they were green tea. I can't even remember. This is on my like first prep. I think there were green tea extract fat burners, which was pretty much just a very large amount of caffeine. And that was pretty much it. That's the only fat burner I've ever used. This is a question from Jade, my bestie. Give up one, coffee or white chocolate Oreos? Coffee all the way. I'm sorry, but white chocolate Oreos are... I mean, I pretty much don't even have white chocolate Oreos anyway, but because I'm on prep all the time, but if I could never ever have one or the other, it would definitely be coffee. I couldn't give up white chocolate Oreos. How important is it to be 100% on point with your diet? It really is so important. Like, to the extent of, it wouldn't even matter if you quote unquote cheated on your diet, but then mindset wise, you think, okay, this is okay for me to do this. And it becomes a habit within your brain. So once you do things, and if you keep doing it and keep doing it, that becomes a habit. So then becoming a habit, the more and more you do it, the less you're going to be sticking to your diet, and the less you're actually going to be kind of improving within trying to lose body fat for your show. Which did you prefer, a ketogenic style of training or a quote unquote regular diet with carbs? This is interesting, and I generally really enjoyed ketogenic style of dieting. So it wasn't a complete keto diet, because a complete keto diet is most of your calories will be coming from fat, whereas most of my calories were coming from fat and protein. So it wasn't like I was just having fat, I was having fat and protein, and a moderate amount of both of them. But I really enjoyed it because I loved eating dark chocolate, I loved eating avocado. What I really did find the difference was though that my body responds better to fats that are whole fats instead of processed. So I would have peanut butter, dark chocolate and avocado. I would be a little bit bloated, and I didn't really know why. And then I completely cut out processed fats. So processed fats being dark chocolate and peanut butter, and I just had avocado. Bloating started to go down, which I think a few people have messaged me that they have had problems and issues with going to a ketogenic style of dieting, whereas they do find themselves quite bloated and their digestion not working as well. So on that front, I really did enjoy, because I did feel really good and satisfied from it, and energy wise I wasn't actually that bad, but I do prefer having just all nutrients in there. Carbs, proteins and fats, because I just don't think it's necessary to cut out all of them. You don't need to cut out all of them to do a prep anyway. So I found it was good, and I did have a lot of results, but I think I could have got just the exact same amount of results if I had carbs in as well, if that makes sense. So I find it's just depends on person to person. I prefer having carbs in because I do like carbs, but I did enjoy ketogenic style of dieting anyway. So yeah, I prefer carbs, but I enjoyed both methods. And that is my last question for my Q&A, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if I didn't answer your question or you want me to elaborate on any more of those answers, please comment down below and I will answer those for you. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.